Hello everyone, welcome to your weekly tech update, the show that explores the newest, coolest, and sometimes crazy side of tech available on the interwebs. I am your video game geek, Ray McNeil. Coming up on the program today, it's here, and I got my hands on it. The PlayStation VR 2. This is our first of hopefully many PlayStation VR 2 specials, and now that I've had a chance to play and test it out, we're going to go over the hardware, what's improved and what's been taken away, and we'll explore some of the great games, including Gran Turismo 7, which gave us a full VR upgrade. Horizon Call of the Mountain will give your fear of heights a fresh dose of anxiety, and Resident Evil The Village. Oh man, it's scary. It's the horror movie that you've been looking for in VR. And we'll wrap up the program with this week's Moment of Joy. All that and a whole lot more coming up on today's edition of your weekly tech update. Next. Hi everyone, I will start out with a few items that could be issues that could annoy people, but know that I am in love with the PlayStation VR 2, and these issues do not affect my ability to enjoy this new headset whatsoever. First, the screen door effect. You get two OLED panels for displays, and while the resolution is about 4 times what we had on the first PlayStation VR, it does still have a slight screen door effect, and I have heard people complain about it, but it still is a huge upgrade over the original and a better screen than the Quest 2 has. Second is reprojection. PSVR 2 uses a method to insert frames to get you up to 120 frames per second, which is buttery smooth. In the process, it creates a double vision of sorts when turning your head fast or moving fast to the side in game. I can see it quite often when playing Gran Turismo 7, but again, it's easy enough to ignore. Third, they are still using the same kind of lenses from the last VR, which have a small sweet spot which will always appear to have blurry edges around the screen. And fourth, they removed the volume controls from the headset. You have fairly easy access in the menu though, but no longer do you have a mute button or an up or down volume button that's easily accessible. Now, these are things that are deal breakers for some, but I don't find them to be a problem myself. Now on to what changed and what I love. They literally listened to all of the complaints about the first headset and fixed the issues. No longer will you need to figure out how to hook up a complicated breakout box with multiple cables thanks to a single slim USB-C cable. I mean, really, look at this. Why was there any need for the PSVR 1 to have to connect through this crazy setup? The one cable is definitely much, much better. We have PC VR level tracking now too. In fact, it's the same as the Quest, where it uses 4 onboard cameras to track your position in the room. That's also how the controllers are tracked via the cameras in the headset. So as long as the controllers are in sight of the headset, you should have great tracking. This also eliminates the drift experienced with the original Move controllers. Now, I'm going to say that I actually had many issues with my controllers, but it turned out to be something pretty simple in the long run, but it took a little bit of troubleshooting to figure out. When I first got into Pavlov, which is a great shooter for the PlayStation VR 2, by the way, my aim was horrible. It was jittery. My controllers were losing tracking. And as you can see in the video, the gun was facing the wrong way sometimes. An arm would completely go way out into left field and say it wasn't being tracked or it was out of the play area, which brought up the little barrier around the screen. It was not fun, and it really made playing Pavlov a chore and not enjoyable whatsoever. It was my TV. I have my PlayStation 5 behind my television, which is a 42-inch Samsung The Frame television. It's a very cool TV, and I've never had any issues with it, but it apparently is interfering with the controllers and the signal going to and from the PlayStation 5. Once I moved my PlayStation 5 around to the front of the television, all of my issues went away. The tracking is amazing. It is spot on, and playing Pavlov is a dream. I had no more issues after that. So if people out there do have problems with their controllers, yes, there may be more issues that we haven't run into, but this was my problem. And luckily, it was a very easy issue. I just had to figure out that I needed to walk around behind my television and everything cleared up before I really found out what was going on. A simple enough fix, but it's something I definitely wanted to mention since we're going over the hardware of the PSVR 2. Now, speaking of controllers, they are fully redesigned with 2 analog sticks. They are essentially a DualSense controller split in half, but with the addition of the capacitive buttons and analog sticks, meaning you only have to set your finger on a button to get a response. It basically gives us another function for each individual button. You don't have to press it, you just have to touch it. I believe the Quest has the same tricks with their controllers, with the exception of their force feedback triggers. They are incredible. They are so cool. They do have a short battery life with built-in rechargeable batteries at about 4 hours, but I figured out that you can plug them in and continue to use them. So, have a battery pack, plug them in for 20 minutes, they'll charge back up, and you can keep on playing in VR and not really have any time constraints. Another thing you can do as well is once your VR Sense controllers die, put them on charge and then boot up Gran Turismo and play that, because you can play it with a steering wheel or the DualSense controller that came with your PS5. The headset now has a pair of earbuds that are clipped in place and stored right next to your ears for easy access. What I was excited about is that you can now use your own wireless headphones as well. With the original PSVR, you had to use a wired pair. Since all the tracking is built into the headset, you don't need to face the TV either, or even have a TV in the area to play. That also means no more camera needed for VR. The displays are OLEDs, as I mentioned, and they have HDR. This means deep, true blacks with bright, vibrant colors that are second to none. I simply haven't experienced anything like it. It's incredible. I was playing Gran Turismo, and in one level it turned into night while you were racing, and during your last lap, fireworks started going off on 2 different sides of the track. It was one of the best looking things I have ever seen in gaming. So not only are the displays better, in fact, they're almost 4 times better resolution. But we get foveated rendering with it too, which helps even more. It includes eye tracking, so they use it to only render what's in the center of your vision, and everything on the edges is rendered in a much lower resolution. You can see this when you're watching somebody play PSVR 2 and you're looking at the TV. Where they're looking is obviously much clearer. It's crazy and works so well, you can't even tell it's working when you're in VR. It helps to produce the crisp visuals and buttery smooth gameplay that I am in love with. We also have a much larger field of view too, 110 degrees this time around. There's also a fan that cools the components and makes it so the lenses will never fog up. It really is a huge leap in technology. The headset also has its own haptic feedback, so if you crash in Gran Turismo or get shot in After the Fall, the VR headset shakes and it's awesome. It adds so much to the immersion. Oh yeah, and you know how it has eye tracking? Some games use that to select menu items. So you just look at whatever you want to click on, and then hit X. It makes it much, much quicker than going up, 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 left, left, left to whatever you're trying to click on. To the point, this is the cheapest way to get into a PC-level VR experience. Yes, there are some compromises, but you also get things that PC VR doesn't have, like the feedback in the headset, eye tracking, and being super comfortable and light, letting you play for hours without fatigue. I don't want you to feel like you've wasted your money, so I'm trying to inform you of both sides, good and bad, so you can hopefully decide if it's worth it for yourself. I can tell you that I am in love with it and can happily overlook the few issues, considering they literally fixed almost every single complaint about the first one. It is a lot of money, but it's a bargain for what you get. For under $1,000, you get an experience that is comparable and sometimes better than what you would have to spend $3,000 or more to get on a computer. The PlayStation VR 2 is really a great deal when it comes right on down to it.